So I have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, we didn't talk about this off air.
It has been a hallmark of Irish rugby for the last number of months that emotionally they keep things on an even keel. We see Johnny Sexton emotional during Ireland's call. I had thought maybe the fact that he's not going to do this all that more often in Dublin was the reason he was emotional. Then he talked afterwards about the visit from you and Craig Doyle and David Irwin, of course, on Monday to the camp, talking about, well, you can tell us in more detail, but your documentary about the North-South divide and what the jersey means, and presumably what Ireland's call means as well. And it came back to hit Johnny 5-6 days later. Do you want to lay off on this? Do you want to just take it easy, keep the emotion in check?
That's not what sport is about. It's about emotion. It's about singing your national anthem with pride. And I think I'm sure with Johnny, in Johnny's case, he knows that there's a couple of other, maybe 3 other opportunities to play at home, in the Aviva. Yeah. And the magnitude of big games like France, they're going to be, it's England and that's it. There's one more big one for him, because the others are a means to an end. The World Cup warm-up games, I don't know how many there are in the Aviva, but yeah, games that truly count, that have purpose and meaning at the end of them, that's going to stimulate emotion. And there's a little bit of the sanctity of the dressing room about this, because it was a really lovely evening.
What prompted it?
It had. I'd been asked about 2 years ago by Andy Farrell to come in and do it, and then COVID. It might have even been pre-COVID. That's how long ago it was. And then just got kicked down the road a few times, and then ultimately it was decided on this. And it was just one thing. I think a lot of the boys had seen the documentary, or a good few of them. But remember, this group of players, some of them have been born after the Good Friday Agreement. So that's how far ago it was, how long back we have to look to the Troubles, in inverted commas. So listen, the long and short of it, we went in and talked about the documentary, and then I know that it's known that James Ryan spoke incredibly well. He's obviously, he's a history graduate. History steeped in his family, with a great-grandfather fighting in the Rising in 1916s in the GPO. So this, that's part of his upbringing and his makeup. But he spoke so well. And it was lovely to be part of a good evening. And listen, what came later on, and Johnny's, the emotion, terrific. But I guess it was a bit of reminiscing about what it meant to play for Ireland as well, what it was like to be in camp. I hadn't been in camp for 9 years. So, and I won't lie, it's a little bit nerve-wracking going in and meeting guys who see you as the journalist rather than the ex-player.
They remember what you said about them 6 years ago.
Correct. Yeah. And I don't. Yeah. And you could, they won't remember the 6 good things, but they'll remember the 1 bad. And that's what players do. So I was a little bit nervous going into it. But yeah, all you can do is talk, I suppose, openly and freely about how you felt. And certainly when we're talking about the documentary, that was the case. And my learning along in the process of doing it, of not wanting to do too much research to find out things in real time, but then not come across as ignorant. It's kind of a fine line.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, I do remember you interviewing Rory Best in that documentary, and you both acknowledging that it wasn't really something you would have explicitly discussed as players. It just doesn't tend to come up. Almost this, in some respects, this is the first time we've really hashed it out, and you give me your perspective and I'll give you mine. So in that sense, what a nice kind of vehicle for the team to actually talk about these things. Yeah,
it really wasn't, just never a thing. It really wasn't. And we talked, myself and Bestie talked about calling each other lefties and him getting abused about being Ireland captain, when he didn't sing Ireland's call, and someone saying, why isn't that fat Protestant, singing Ireland's call? Sure, isn't it for him? and I was having a laugh going, which was more upsetting, being called a Protestant or a fat. So, like, even I remember, and I've told. I don't know if I think I might have told this in camp on Monday, because I've said it before, and this isn't just specifically about the camp, but I remember my earliest understanding of it was in '99 before the World Cup. Paddy Johns and myself were getting drug tested, and we were going through all the questionnaire, and he was asked, "Where are you from?" And he said, Northern Ireland. And I was like, "We're going to a World Cup," and I was like, oh my gosh, we're from different countries here. And ratting was encouraged, to the judge at that stage. I'm only a 20-year-old, and I'm going, should I really be this guy? But anyway, I did. I told Eric Elwood anyway on the bus the next day. Eric stands up and goes, I believe, a few fines. And Paddy, just to clarify, so on your documentation you put down Northern Irish. Sorry, it was Northern Irish. It wasn't Northern. Where are you from? Northern Ireland. It was nationality Northern Irish.
Identity.
Yeah. And then so Eric stood up and goes, so if I get drug tested next week, should I put down Western Irish? And I was just having a laugh, but that was as close as it ever got.
Yeah.
And it was literally just for shits and giggles. It was just for a laugh. It was never, I didn't go, oh, gosh. I just thought it was strange, different, but each to their own.
Craig Doyle there as well. And then I suppose to have David Irwin, who's now current Ulster doctor, and again for...
Ex now, yeah, he's left the post. Yeah, he has. Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
For younger,
he was there for a long time though.
Yeah, members of the team. He was one of the three in the 1987 car bomb, which killed Justice Morris Gibson and his wife Cecily. Nigel Carr didn't make that World Cup. Philip Rainey was there as well. It's a £500 IRA bomb. The lads were obviously not the target of it. They just happened to be wrong place, wrong time. I mean, I just reread David Irwin's memories of that day before you came in, and they're harrowing. So I presume having him to speak personally is, I'm hearing pins drop at the back of the room territory.
Yeah, it's an amazing story that he does tell, and I got it at the site of the bomb, in the documentary. And yeah, his wife Janice said she's never heard him talking about it before that. Before the documentary, and understandably, he got emotional in the doc. But I think, when he talks of personal experience like that, it's a sliding doors moment, and your whole life, hundredths of a second, one way or the other, could be vastly different or non-existent. It brings it home. So, it was a lovely evening to be part of, and nice that. Doing a piece of work like that has an impact on people, even kind of a few years later. And the thing is, for me, the big part of that was, it's about rugby, but it's not really. It's kind of a culture story, and an acceptance story of we're there's so many different versions of being Irish on this island, and now all the more so, because we've got Kiwis and Australians and South Africans and Hawaiians in camp. So it's changed again.
That was just a taster of Brian Driscoll, who was with us this evening. He was in brilliant form across the full 50-minute chat, which you can download wherever you get your podcast from.